Hello! Welcome in or welcome back to my channel. My name is Deb from DG Reads, and today I am very excited because this is the start of my vacation vlog. So it's Friday night currently, and that means it's still February, but in about 10 hours or so, I have to leave the house to kick off my vacation. So I figured I'd do a quick little intro tonight because I am not vlogging at 5 a.m. in the morning when I need to be leaving the house. So this is the official kickoff of my vlog. I'm really excited because I am going to Mexico for a week, and I'm going with my best friend, and it's going to be a very chill week in Cabo. We are staying at a nice all-inclusive resort, and I'm sure I will be showing that off when we get there, but I'm looking forward to mostly just chilling by the pool. It's supposed to be nice weather, low 70s but sunny, and we've got food included, drinks included, lots of fun to be had. We are going to do a lot of reading, definitely eat and drink a lot of good stuff, and good time is going to be had. Tomorrow is also the kickoff of Realmathon, which is the readathon hosted by Cassidy at Covers with Cassidy, and I'm super excited to be on Team Monarch, which is hosted by Bree at Four Paws in a Book and Jenn at the Book Refuge, and I am going to be sitting poolside supporting my team as I flit off like a butterfly should to Mexico. Tonight, my house is very quiet because Kylie had to get dropped off today for boarding since, again, 5 a.m. in the morning departure time doesn't really allow for me getting her in for boarding. So I do have some packing to finish up tonight, maybe sit and do a little crochet, hopefully wind down at a reasonable hour, have all my bags loaded in the car, so all I have to do in the morning is get up, roll out of bed, put on some clothes, and get out the door. So that's the plan for tonight. I am currently reading a couple of things. I have 50 pages left in Valor, which I didn't bring upstairs with me, but Valor by John Gwynne. The live show for this one is on the 9th of March, so the weekend before this vlog is going to be live, and the weekend after I get back from Mexico. So I'm definitely planning to read those final 50 pages tonight and have those be over. Live show I will link down below, so you'll hear all the thoughts on that one. The other book I'm reading that I'm not sure if I'm going to finish prior to my vacation or not is The Watchers by A.M. Shine. This is in my horror bingo TBR, and it's one that was readily available for me to pick up and go ahead and listen today as I had some time to do some multitasking finishing up at work. This one is set in the woods. There is a bunker there, and all the people who are there know is they have to be inside when the lights go dark. When it's dark outside, creatures, the Watchers, come out of the woods, and they are scary beasts, whatever they may be. They can't really see them very well because they're in a lit up enclosure and it's dark outside and you can't really see much, but they don't know what these creatures are. They don't know where they came from. These different people kind of stumbled into these woods through different means, and it's interesting enough so far. I'm about 40% of the way through. I could probably just blast through the rest of this tonight while I'm packing. We'll see if I do so, and I'll probably give you an update once I'm in Mexico because the camera's getting packed in the bag right after I stop filming. So I will be reading who knows what come tomorrow. I do have a few things in mind. I put up an entire vacation TBR for everything I was planning to stuff my Kindle with, and my Kindle is certainly stuffed. So some of the things from that particular TBR probably will make it into this vlog. We'll see. Some other random things could as well. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you in Mexico. Mexico, and we're about to go out, find some food, hit the pool, and I figured I'd give you a couple quick updates. We had business class, which was fancy. Of course, mimosas on the way. We had good food actually on an airplane, which was surprising in and of itself. And I did finish up my first book this morning. Actually, before we even got on the plane, I finished up The Watchers. And it was fine. It was entertaining enough, but I did guess several of the twists along the way. So I wouldn't say it was a big, huge win, but I finished that before vacation, so we're not entirely even counting that as a vacation read. I had a bit of a rough start to the day because all the roads leading from my house were all closed this morning, which is not what you want when you're leaving the house at 5 a.m. and need to try to reroute and use your brain power to do so. So that was a bit rough, but I made it. I'm in Mexico. All is good. And I have fancy beer. I did also make a significant chunk of the way through White Line Fever by Casey Jones, and this one I'm liking a lot. Listening to the first part of it while I was en route and trying to reroute around train tracks and construction and all sorts of stuff, maybe it wasn't the best timing. This one is set on a stretch of road called the Devil's Highway, and the road's been closed, but this group of friends winds up going down this road, and they are trying to take a shortcut. It was not the best choice. They are seeing things, they're not sure if they're imagining them, if they're really there. It's a lot going on. So I'm about, I'd say 2/3 of the way through this one, so I'm going to be finishing this one up at the pool after we get our lunch, and I'll give you final thoughts on this one. But so far, entertaining. This is one I have a gifted copy from Tor Nightfire, and I have an audiobook from Macmillan Audio, so I was kind of dipping in and out of both. So check in with you later, but vacation is off to a good start. Now Saturday night. I'm tired. It's not even that late. It's like 8:30 local time, which is 7:30 back home. Something like that. I only got a couple hours sleep last night, so I was fighting at the pool, staying awake, but I did finish up White Line Fever. And overall, I enjoyed this one. I will give it about a 3.5, I think. It's definitely very fever dreamy. Hence the White Line Fever, I think, in the title. I think that's very appropriate. There is a lot going on in here. We get flashbacks into our main characters' past and their friendships. We have a set of siblings. We have one of their wives, and then we have what I would consider the main character, who is Livia, and she had a very abusive father, so there are trigger warnings in here about that. There's definitely a lot of flashbacks going on with that, with the way the road, this nightmare mile, this devil's highway, whatever you want to call it, is messing with their minds, and it's pulling things from their past into the present and causing a lot of death and mayhem based on this. Definitely gore, definitely a lot of darkness. It did really well at keeping my attention on the airplane and by the pool when I was really, really exhausted. And overall, I think it was a good time. It lost me in a few places, but I think that was more so me being tired. And in the end, it was big action, big fun, all that. So we went and had a drink at the bar. We went and had Italian for dinner. Got some pasta and tiramisu and cheesecake, Parmesan cheesecake, which was interesting. And now we are settling in with some Dos Equis and probably a Kindle, and I have to figure out what I'm reading next. I have no clue at the moment, and probably crash very early so we can attack tomorrow. So that's it for tonight, and I'll talk to you later. Day 2 of vacation is going quite well. We got up this morning. I passed out last night. I tried reading in bed. It didn't work so well. But I did get up early this morning, and I did finish an entire book between the last time I talked to you and now, and that was Nothing More to Tell by Karen McManus. And it was fine. I don't have a lot of thoughts about it because honestly, I think I was tired reading it, and also it just didn't fully hook me in as much as I wanted it to. This book, it centers on some youths from a high school that their professor was killed. 3 of the students found him, and one of our main POV characters, Bryn, had moved away after his death. He was her favorite professor, and this really shook her. Bryn is starting a new job, or at the beginning of the book, she's interviewing for a job as an intern with this crime show. And because the death of her professor was never solved, she uses this as a hook to get them interested in bringing her on. And she then has to spend time looking into this case as part of this new job, this new potential job. And she has to get in with the students who found his body. And we're also following Trip, who is her former best friend. So it's an interesting set up an interesting case. I just didn't feel myself fully pulled in by either character or by the whole mystery of it, and I kind of just felt underwhelmed. Unfortunately, this is an author that normally I have really enjoyed and normally I've found to work really well while I'm sleepy or distracted, so this was all a little on the unfortunate side for me, but that's okay. I moved on. I actually started This Book Will Bury Me by Ashley Winstead. I made it about 10% in and I decided not to continue in the present moment. This one starts with the family member death. The main character's father has died. She is absolutely wrecked by this. There's a lot of talk of grief and what the whole funeral process is and everything. And with the way my year started with the death in my family, I decided this one was just a little bit too heavy for me in the moment to be reading poolside. So that will still get read. That is one that I have an advanced copy, an e-arc from Sourcebooks Landmark, and it started out really strong and really interesting. The POV of the character is she's writing this after the fact. She's saying that you, the audience, know her from seeing her on TV. You're seeing her get arrested, I think she said, and there's definitely some juicy things that have been happening. She begins as kind of a distraction from her grief to get involved looking at these chat rooms about this crime case she learns about, and it's very interesting. We're getting the mixed media of seeing the chats, and she's inserting herself into this investigation with all these amateur detectives basically. So it sounds like something I'm really going to enjoy. I just kind of didn't know how long the whole grief part of it is going to be lasting in the story, and maybe it's just one I'll pick up after I'm back home and not in kind of distracting myself mode. So the next book I picked up, definitely sticking with, and that is Twisted by Sarah Shepard. This is the 9th book in the Pretty Little Liars series. It's the first book in the second arc, and this is one that the Patreon for Becca at Becca in the Books has been reading these as kind of an unofficial buddy read each month, and I'm a couple of books behind at this point, and that's because starting at book 9 and with the second story arc, there's no audiobook, and that's put me a little bit behind. But I figured this would be the perfect time to test it out, see if I'm liking this new story arc, and see if I want to continue on with it. This is set with a time jump after everything that happened in the first 8 books, and the 4 friends have separated. They're not talking to each other anymore, but the mysterious figure of A has come back out of the woodwork. Something happened in Jamaica when the 4 of them were still friends and were still there together, and A is taunting them about knowing what happened, and therefore they're going to start having to interact, I think. A's pulling out other secrets from their lives, and this one I made it 60% of the way through and just sitting by the pool today, drink in hand, so this one's going really well. I anticipate I may quite likely finish it up tonight. The book actually mentioned sushi, so that kind of inspired the idea potentially of going to the Asian restaurant here at the resort tonight, and there's going to be some fire dancing. I'll see if I can get some b-roll maybe from that as well, and then we'll probably grab a drink or so at the bar and just chill for the rest of the evening and then do some reading in bed and do it all again tomorrow. So that is the plan currently, and having a fantastic time and good reading and all the like, so I'll catch you up later on. Now Monday and I should be at work, but I'm on vacation, so that's exciting. We're in full pool mode today. It was cool this morning, but it's gotten really hot, so I came in for a quick break and figured I'd do a quick update while I was at it. I finished up Twisted last night. No, I didn't. I finished up Twisted this morning. I had like 5 to 10% as of this morning. I just couldn't keep my eyes open long enough to finish it up last night, and I carried it over to this morning, and I had fun with this one in general. I think it's mainly set up, kind of getting all of our characters in place, slowly starting to figure out what happened to break their friendships apart, and find out the details of Jamaica, which I'm assuming we're going to get a little bit more of, and kind of what the overarching plot is going to be for the remainder of the books, I think. So I'm looking forward to continuing on with the next book. I do think I'm going to continue the series, even though it's only an ebook. It was a really easy read. It certainly didn't take me long. And aside from the fact that I was just exhausted from too much sun, too many drinks, too much fun yesterday, and so forth. We went to the Asian restaurant last night. It was quite tasty. Got a bunch of kind of appetizer things, and I got a miso eggplant dish, which was really, really tasty. And they had a signature cocktail that was sake and absolute pear and a few other things in it, cucumber. I don't remember what else, but that was tasty too. And then we also saw the fire dance happening, which was a fun little entertainment thing as we were on our way to dinner. So definitely got some B-roll of that as well. And then today we had a show, a free show from the whales. They've actually been around yesterday and today. Yesterday I didn't have my camera on me. Today I did, so hopefully I got some good shots. We'll see. But the whales seem to be on the younger side, I would say. They just seem to be playing. They're out there flopping around and flipping on their sides. Today you saw there were a couple of them together, where yesterday we just saw kind of a couple solo ones out there flipping their tails around and putting on quite the show for the tourists, which is fun. The hotel has a little bell with a whale sign, so if you see whales, you're supposed to alert everyone so they can go over and watch. And today there were a bunch of like kayaks and sea-doos and stuff all around the whales, so the whales seem to be showing off, maybe even extra for them. So that was a lot of fun. And then today I picked up The Thief by Megan Whalen Turner, and this is one that Maria, and Maria might read that, has been recommending to everyone basically, but it's the first in the series. The Queen's Thief series, I think, is the series name. But this one I'm liking so far. I'm not saying I'm in love with it yet. There's a young boy who is a thief. He's been in prison, and there is a plan to kind of get this relic. They need a thief's assistance to get this. It's a whole power play. It's definitely going to work for a political side of things and a made-up place. Not for urban, but for Realmathon, it will come in handy for several prompts, so it's working well for that. It's reading really quickly. I've already made it a third of the way in, and I just started this morning after I did some Bookstagram posting and so forth. So it's going quickly. So far, we've just basically got them traveling. This boy was pulled out of jail to help in this heist, this plan. We're getting some of the storytelling of the religion and the lore of the world, what this heist is going to tie into, and we're getting to know the characters a little bit because we have the Magnus, we have kind of a couple of people along the way who are assisting in this journey, guards basically, and our thief has been badly treated when he was in prison. He's kind of recovering from that. So it's a bit of a slow build so far, but it's a really easy read. Even if I'm baking in the sun, distracted by other people around, it's going pretty well. So I will be finishing that up likely today even. I don't think it's that long of a book. I want to say it's like about 250 pages even, so it should go pretty quickly. But anyway, that's that. I don't know what we're getting up to the rest of the day other than hanging by the pool. We got some drinks. We got our own insulated cups at the gift shop, which was a really smart idea. A lot of people around here had to bring their own insulated cups because then you can get your cocktails, keep them cold for longer, and, you know, better for the environment and all of that as well. Bartenders are happy to use them, so that's all good news. So from here, I'm going to go back to my tequila sunrise, go back to sitting by the pool with my book, and enjoy the rest of my day. It's now late Tuesday morning, early afternoon, somewhere around there. I've lost track of time, which is a good sign for a vacation. But I figured I'd give you a quick update while I'm sitting on my patio real quick. I'm gonna go jump in the pool in a moment. But I did finish The Thief, and if Marie's watching this, don't worry too much. I didn't love it most of the way through, in all honesty. I felt like it was a little bit jumpy. It had a few things happen off page I would have preferred to see on page, and I didn't connect to the characters as much as I would have liked to. And some of that then, I wasn't as much caring when they were in peril. But I really liked how this one ended. There were some twists I did not predict and some surprises and all of that, so I do definitely plan to continue on in the series. This one wound up being like a 3.5 for me. Not the best at keeping me engaged. It was kind of easy to drift off a little bit as I was reading, but it did make for an easy read to read by the pool. So overall, I like this one. I didn't love it, but I am intrigued to see where the series is going to go. And then from there, I decided to go with a pretty much sure thing win, and I picked up Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. I did tell Penn Cole at the author event I went to last weekend that I would be reading her book on vacation, and I wouldn't want to make a liar of myself. So I started that last night, and I'm already 60% of the way through. And it's not a short book, it's like 600 pages. So clearly I am enjoying it. This one is the continuation of Spark of the Everflame, and I have been eagerly anticipating this one. I am excited to keep going in it. We are seeing a lot more of our main male character and main female character together. We're getting good banter between them, and I like the way the politics of the world and the relationship between them are in fact developing and growing and being fleshed out more. There are some relationships I'd like to see resolved. We're not seeing a lot of our main character with her childhood best friend slash love interest. I want to see some resolution going on there, but the idea of this world where mortals are looked down upon, but then we have a main character who grew up mortal and is in the mix with all of these people who consider themselves elite compared to mortals in different ways. It's just a really interesting world building setup, and it's just such an immersive read, such an easy one to pick up. I started on Kindle last night. I wound up putting the audiobook on this morning because I got up early and was just listening in bed, and then had to rewind a couple times because I dozed off, but that was entirely a me and it being 6:30 in the morning thing, not a book related thing. But I am enjoying. We're getting some balls, we're getting some romance, we're getting a lot of things in this that I'm looking forward to continuing to see how this gets fleshed out. I know book 3 is going to be coming out in traditional publication relatively soon. I do have it already from KU, the self-published version, so we'll see. I may not pick it up on this trip, but I'm looking forward to already be able to continue the series, and I'm a little bit worried about book 3 having a big cliffhanger, so I might pace myself, not knowing yet what date book 4 is going to come out yet, so we shall see. But anyway, in the meantime, I'm going back to the pool. They've got what looks to be a taco stand being set up, so that's looking likely for lunch. Last night we went to the more beachfront restaurant that does like an international fare. We had some really good burrata, we had some good appetizers, we had some good soup. I had a really nice filet for dinner, wine, and all of that was fantastic. The desserts weren't 100% the best, but the rest of it was absolutely fantastic. And then we went to the lobby, had an espresso martini while there was some music going on, and just hung out for a bit, and then came back to the room and read and had a relaxing evening. So I think we're essentially going to duplicate that today. Maybe go for Mexican to the one restaurant we haven't been to yet for dinner tonight. We'll see. I will, I'm sure, have some things to share with you once I have an update. Hello again. It is now Wednesday afternoon, and we're getting toward the end of the trip. We've got one more full day here, and then we fly home on Friday, so having a good time. I have a few updates for you. We went to the Mexican restaurant last night, which means we've been to all 4 of the restaurants now once, and the highlight of the Mexican restaurant was definitely the churro and ice cream dessert, but everything was really, really good. And so far, all of the food really has been fantastic here. We've got a little taco truck by the pool that does burgers, tacos, all of those types of things, and then there's a different kind of meal served alongside that every day. Today it was ceviche bar, yesterday it was tacos, the day before it was paella, so they've had a lot of good options for us here, and the unlimited drinks has been fun as well, of course. But on the reading front, I did finish up Glow of the Everflame and had a fantastic time with it. It was a really gripping book. It held my attention. I wound up finishing it in basically 24 hours. A lot of that spent by the pool, a little of it with an audiobook, and a little bit of it reading, my Kindle most of the time. I really like the character DM and how she really grew into her own, I think more so in this book than she did in the first book. She spent a lot more time thinking things through and being strategic and just making smart moves. And I really liked getting to see a glimpse of more of the world. The world definitely expanded in this book, and I think it will even more in the third book, which I'm really looking forward to reading. I think the relationship growth in this one was done well. I really like Luther as the male lead, and I wanted to see a little more between DM and Henry in this book, but I think that will come a little bit more in the future. I really, really like the found family aspect to this book and the way that DM is gathering people around her, both those who are related to her and not. It definitely ended on a big twist, on a big kind of cliffhanger-y type of thing, so I'm very much looking forward to reading the next book. Hopefully very soon. I do not have time to get to it in March. I know this about myself, but maybe April? We'll see. And then I've actually finished 2 more books since I finished that one. I didn't sleep the best last night, so I wound up grabbing my audiobook from PRH Audio for Vera Wong's Guide to Snooping on a Dead Man. And this is by Jesse Q. Sutanto, and one I've very much been looking forward to. And I had a really good time with this as well. It is a continuation. We left the first book without necessarily a need to continue the story, but I think it worked really well. The character of Vera Wong is just so much fun. She's over the top. She's going after being a PI currently, and she winds up finding out about this woman who is in need. And of course, Vera takes her under her wing, and things go a little bit wild. There's a lot going on in this book, and there were a few things I didn't love. There's a little bit of info dumping at the very end where we kind of get solutions to things just kind of laid out in a new character POV at the end of the book, which is not my favorite way of doing things, but I love Vera Wong. I will read more stories about Vera Wong in the future, and it's definitely a fun read. That one comes out on April 1st. And then the other book I read that I don't have a lot of thoughts to share about, but it is Ruthless by Sarah Shepard, and this is the 10th book in the Pretty Little Liars series. This series I'm having a lot of fun with. I wouldn't say they're great books by any means, but they're perfect poolside reads. They are really quick to get through. The main characters make a lot of dumb moves. They've done some bad things. They've got a lot that they need to be held accountable for, and this mysterious person A is definitely letting them know that not all of their secrets are secrets, and there are a lot of red herrings that Sarah Shepard throws in for who A might be, and it's just fun. I do find it jumps around a little bit, and maybe it's just the ebook formatting, but like there's not a break in the dialogue, and all of a sudden we're in a past flashback type of thing, and it doesn't delineate that in the text, and that's confused me a few times with that. So that's not my favorite, but these wind up being solid 3-star reads for me, and I have a good time with them, and I definitely will continue the series. So with that, we just came back to the room. I've got a little bit of a headache. I think too much sun today. There were a lot of people having fun and a lot of yelling, a lot of loud music at the pool, so I think I just need to chill for a little bit. We're gonna go get dinner at either Return to the Italian or Asian. Those are our 2 options we decided were our 2 favorite restaurants that we'll be going to for our 2 remaining dinners, and that's about it in terms of plans. There's karaoke to go watch. I will not be singing, but that's always fun and entertaining, and probably have a drink before bed as well. So that's the plan for this evening. I will check back in with you soon. It is now Thursday, and that means it's our last day here at the resort, sunning by the pool, but we're enjoying ourselves. The sun's out. We're doing rum punches by the pool today. It's all good. But I did have one more book to update you on, because I did finish up Saltwater by Katie Hayes. This is an advanced copy. It's coming out on March 25th from Ballantine Books and Random House. And I started it last night. I was struggling a little bit to get into it originally. I wound up getting the audiobook from PRH Audio, and that helped quite a bit. It goes a little bit back and forth in time, and I think I was a little too tired initially to follow who was who in which timeline and all of that. So this is following the Lingate family, and many years ago in 1992, it's a little scary that 92 is many years ago, but beside that, we've got Sarah Lingate went missing and was found dead eventually back in '92. And this was on vacation in Capri, in Italy, and she was found at the bottom of some cliffs. And there's been lots of rumors. Was it her husband who killed her? Who killed her? Was it suicide? Who knows? And in that timeline, we are following a few different people back then. And then in the present timeline, we're following her daughter, Helen, who is trying to get some answers. And they're on a family trip. She's there with her father, her uncle, her father's wife, and the assistant to her father. And the assistant goes missing, and that stirs up a bunch of questions again with this. This is definitely very much a family drama, very messy family drama. A lot of twists and turns in terms of relationships in here. I did find myself getting invested the further I got into it, and was having a really good time with it by the end. The twists and turns, some of them surprised me. There were some that I guessed. I do feel like it was a little over the top in terms of suspending disbelief, but that's the kind of thing you want for a fun pool read, and I do think this was perfect for reading by the pool. So I did finish it off this morning, and overall I'm giving it a 3.5 or a 4, I think, just because it did take me a little bit longer. We don't necessarily have a lot of emotion in here. I was a little worried with the whole death of a mother thing, whether this would be a good read for me at the moment, but I didn't feel like it was super emotional, and that I think worked okay with the story. But if you're looking for that, that's not necessarily going on in here. So I think this is one for people who enjoy messy family drama and just a fun, good time, pretty quick read for a not super short book. So overall, I would recommend this one. And with that, I think we are planning to hit the Italian dinner tonight, have somewhat of an early evening maybe, because we have to be in the lobby with all our luggage packed and everything by 9:15 in the morning to catch a ride to the airport. So that's the plan for the rest of the day. More pool time, lunch. It looks like they're setting up another taco stand, so that sounds good, and more drinks, of course, by the pool. So I'm not sure if I'll check in again with you before we actually leave the resort. I might just do a final when I get home. I am looking forward to seeing my puppy tomorrow, even though I'm not necessarily looking forward to the vacation part being over. But I do at least have the weekend to recover because we get home Friday afternoon. So that'll be good. So anyway, I will check back in at some point with you, and I'll see you then. And I'm back home, reunited with my little girl. We made it home actually yesterday, and it was pretty smooth going for the most part. We got out of LAX really quickly, which was, always a big accomplishment. Got to my dad's house. He had picked her up from the boarding for me. She is extra floofy today because they always give her a little bit of a bath on the way out of the boarding. And she got her nails done while she was there. She did not enjoy her experience being away from family, but she was very, very excited to see me when I picked her up, and ready to break my eardrums just a little bit, and very, very eager to go home. So I'm going to let her down. She's exhausted from the boarding and all the excitement. Yes, you are. Okay, let me put her down, and I'll give you a quick wrap up. Editing me jumping back in here because I'm about to tell you I only read one more book on my way home. And while that's true, there was a book that I read after my last update from the resort that I didn't talk about. And it's not that I forgot that I read it, it's just I forgot that I hadn't talked about it. So I did read one other book before I left vacation, and that was Burn For Me by Ilona Andrews. And this was a buddy read for Mel from Melanor Reads Patreon. And this is an older paranormal fantasy urban type of read, a romance as well. And this one we are following Nevada. She is a young woman who has been left basically to fend for her entire family. And this is because her father passed away, and because of the health issues he had prior to that, the treatment he went under left them in a lot of financial strain, and they wound up basically bartering their business, their family business, against those expenses. And the man who controls this loan has told her she needs to find this really, really dangerous man with this incredible magical ability related to fire. And this is likely going to kill her, and our main character knows that. But if she says no, he can basically call the loan due, and her family will lose absolutely everything: their housing, their business, their livelihood, and have nothing. So she agrees to take this job on. This is a world where people have varying levels of magic. Primes are the top of the food chain. They have the most magic, they have the most power, both power magically and just power in this world in general. And the man she's going up against and trying to find is a prime, and she is not. So this is an imbalance of power. She winds up through a series of circumstances pairing up with this other prime, Mad Rogan, and it's not the best of relationships to start with. I mean, the whole thing starts with him kidnapping her. That's in the synopsis, not a spoiler. So there's a lot of tension between these two, but he's got a lot of money, a lot of resources, a lot of power that she doesn't have. But at the same time, she really stands up against him. It's not really a one-sided relationship. I really enjoy the bickering between these two, the way both have resources and abilities that contribute to them trying to track this man down. And I really like the relationship that grows out of that. I like also the interplay with the family involvement here, both as kind of a liability and something that's keeping Nevada from having the freedom to really just go full out. She has concerns and worries about the people at home. And I really like the way that we see Mad Rogan kind of integrate with the family as well. There's some really fun scenes. They just had me giggling as I was reading. So this was a really quick read. I wouldn't say it's a fantastic book. I can see why it's not going to work for everyone, but I found it just the perfect vacation read. Not a lot of brain power required, some laughs along the way, some intrigue along the way, and I gave this one a 3.5 in the end. So with that, I am going to go ahead and go back over to the editing process and take you back to the me that's about to say that I only read one more book. I didn't read a ton on the way back, but I did read one more book, and that was Stunning by Sarah Shepard, the last one I needed to catch up on in the Pretty Little Liars series. Again, it was an easy read. It was fun. It was entertaining. It was good on an airplane because you didn't have to worry about being too distracted. And I had about 10% left when I got home last night, so I did finish the last bit up in bed before I passed out at like 8 o'clock last night. So it was a good final book to read. So overall, Vacation was a huge success. It was exactly what I wanted out of it. It was relaxing. It was low stress. It was a lot of sleeping, a lot of lounging by the pool, a lot of sun. Thankfully, not too much in terms of overly being in the sun, and no sunburn. I would 100% recommend this resort. It was the Malia Paradisius in Cabo, and it's adults only. Had 4 different restaurants, all of which were fantastic. I wouldn't say that their dessert game is necessarily the best, but they have an ice cream parlor. You can go in any time of the day, and that was really tasty. Our favorite restaurants were definitely the Italian, and I think really the absolute best was the Asian restaurant. We did that one twice, and it was excellent both times, trying some different stuff each time. It had a little bit of a mix of Japanese and Thai and possibly some other things mixed in there, but it was really, really good. So I would recommend it quite highly if you're ever looking for a fun all-inclusive resort in Mexico. So with that, I am going to go ahead and wrap this up here. Definitely the highlight of this reading week for me was Glow of the Everflame. I had a fantastic time with that one. It's got me really eager to dive into book 3 in that series, and hopefully I can get it onto my TBR really soon. Let me know in the comments below, do you have any travel plans for 2025? I would love to hear more ideas. I do have another trip coming up in July that you will be hearing about, so I'm excited for that as well. But for now, I'm really, really happy to be home, planning to sit today, get working on my next reading vlog, and doing some Realmathon urban reading, so that will be coming very, very soon, and spending the day with Kylie in my lap. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you for hanging out. go ahead and give me a whale emoji for the whales that we got to see from our hotel, which was really fun as well. If you could hit that like button below, I would surely appreciate it. And subscribe if you're interested in more of my vacation content, more of my Realmathon reading, and more of my bookish content in general. But for now, I'll leave you here and see you real soon in a new video.